Let me tell you about Jessica, the most shamelessly ambitious gold digger I've ever encountered. She was 24, with perfectly manicured nails, designer clothes, and a smile that could charm the wallet right out of your pocket. I first met her at the country club where I worked. That's where she set her sights on Harold Montgomery. 83 years old, recently widowed, and worth a cool $40 million. Everyone knew what she was doing, but Jessica, she couldn't care less about what people thought. Life is too short to waste time being poor, she'd say with a laugh, adjusting her Cartier bracelet, a small gift from Harold after their second date. The way she flaunted her conquests was almost admirable in its brazenness. You should have seen her performance, the way she'd giggle at his dated jokes, pretend to be fascinated by his endless golf stories, and gently touch his arm at just the right moments. It was like watching a masterclass in manipulation. She even learned to play bridge, his favorite game, though she'd previously called it a boring old person's pastime. The other country club members would whisper behind their hands when she walked by. "Look at that gold digger," they'd say. But Jessica would just strut past them in her Louboutins, head held high. "They're just jealous," she'd tell me later. "Besides, Harold needs me. Do you know how lonely he was before I came along?" The thing about Jessica that really got to me wasn't just her pursuit of Harold's millions. It was how she'd coach other young women on her techniques. She actually started a private Instagram account called Sugar Baby Success Stories, where she'd give tips on how to spot wealthy widowers and what she called investment dating. "Never waste time on anyone worth less than 8 figures, she'd advise her followers. "And always check their medical history. You don't want to wait too long for the payoff." The cold calculation in her voice when she said things like that would send chills down my spine. Harold's children tried to intervene, of course. They showed him proof of her previous relationships with other wealthy older men, presented him with screenshots of her social media posts, even hired a private investigator. But Jessica had already worked her magic. "They're just worried about their inheritance," she'd convinced him. "We're in love, aren't we, sweetie?" The wedding was exactly what you'd expect. Lavish, over the top, and paid for entirely by Harold. Jessica wore a dress that cost more than most people's cars, and she made sure everyone knew it. During her vows, she actually managed to squeeze out a few tears, though I noticed she was careful not to ruin her makeup. The twist in this tale? Harold wasn't as naive as everyone thought. 1 month after the wedding, he called a family meeting. Turns out he'd known exactly what Jessica was doing from the start. He'd already changed his will. Most of his fortune would go to charity, with Jessica getting just enough to maintain her lifestyle for a year or two. "I'm old, not stupid," he told her with a wink. "Consider this a fair payment for making my final years more entertaining. I got to have a beautiful young wife, and you got your Instagram content. Everybody wins." Jessica's face when she heard this, now that was priceless. For once, the gold digger had been outplayed at her own game. Last I heard, she was at another country club eyeing another wealthy widower. But this time, her designer shoes were last season's model, and her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Some say she got what she deserved, but Jessica, she just calls it a learning experience. Next time, she told her followers, "I'm getting it in writing." Like I said, shameless to the core.